What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Lunch Table Sports Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about what's been going on in the NFL world, some Hard Knocks news, and we're going to be going over meetings, top 5 quarterbacks and running backs in the NFL draft.
Yeah, we got some big news the other day. Lions on Hard Knocks. Your Lions, so I mean that's exciting for me too. I think it'll be interesting with Dan Campbell. Excuse me, Dan Campbell. I think he'll make it entertaining. And I don't know. I saw something the other day on TikTok that the Lions are going to draft Malik Willis now, just for Hard Knocks, just because of it to make Hard Knocks more interesting. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at Malik Willis because we'll see with this Lions new coaching staff. I got full faith in this management, which I haven't had before as a Lions fan. So it's nice for a change, but I definitely think the Lions are going to be a super interesting team. I mean, with Dan Campbell as your head coach, you're going to have some viewers, definitely. So I think it'll be pretty interesting. If they go Willis, it'll make it even more interesting. But I think regardless of who they take, it's still going to be pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, I was just kidding about that for the viewers. I don't think they're actually going to draft Malik Willis just for Hard Knocks, but that would be interesting though. I think either way, we'll get to see some behind the scenes with the Lions, somewhere improvement where they're improvement, and I don't know. I think who are some guys that you'd be interested to see like behind the scenes on for the Lions?
I just think seeing all those young guys, seeing Jeff Okudah's progression through his injury, seeing guys like the relationship between Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, you got DJ Chark coming in, Swift in the backfield. So I think just seeing the relationship those guys all have in the locker room and as teammates, it will be pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jeff Okudah would be a big one too. I mean, they drafted him third overall a couple years ago, and he hasn't really lived up to that yet. So I think if he stays healthy this year, I think there's gonna be a lot more pressure on him to perform. But like you said, it'd be interesting to see some behind the scenes there.
Okay, guys, so we're here with my little scouting report I made on my players. Adyn's gonna add in his list as we go. But for my QB1, I got Malik Willis. Malik Willis is just kind of a freak athlete. I mean, he's listed at 6'1", 215, but he's got a cannon of an arm. Just watching his pro day, that's a prime example. He was throwing dimes, deep balls, left and right. He's freaky athletic. He's very mobile. He's able to scramble away from pressure. I think that's one thing he's good at, except I have here some cons for him. He is easily flustered, which means sometimes he escapes the pocket or kind of goes down when he could just stay in the pocket and make a pass. That's one thing I noticed. He doesn't really play up to his competition, meaning his stats versus the best team he played against was Ole Miss, was the best team he played. And you see there, he threw 3 picks against them. That's definitely not something you want to see with a top guy in the draft, with the best team he played throwing 3 picks. But I think whatever team he goes to, he's definitely going to be raw. You're going to have to develop him. And I'm excited to see what he'll do in the league. My comp for him is a mix of Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love, meaning I think he has a Hurts build. I think he's mobile like Hurts, but I think he has a big arm, just like Jordan Love did coming out of Utah State.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. Just like you said at the pro day, he was throwing bombs. I mean, I don't think the average person. I mean, I could say that I didn't watch a single Liberty game this year, so like I've never seen him until that. I mean, I've seen highlights and stuff, but I think that pro day showed all the people what his talent is capable of and what he has in his arsenal, I guess. So I think that I would agree with you there. QB1, I think for me is Malik Willis too.
Yeah. So my next quarterback, my QB2 is Matt Corral from Ole Miss. Matt Corral is definitely one of the more proven quarterbacks in this class. He's more battle tested. One of my most things I love about Matt Corral is he's the only guy out of these top 5 quarterbacks, other than Desmond Ritter from the playoffs, but he's the only quarterback who played in his bowl game other than opting out. And I love to see that when a quarterback stays to stick with his team and play in the bowl game. It shows he's loyal. The bad thing for Matt Corral is he did get hurt in that bowl game, so we didn't get to see him at the combine. But as I put on here, he's a quick processor. He sees the field quick. He sees his routes. He goes through his progressions, and he hits the open man most of the time. He's got pretty accurate deep balls. He had his pro day, I think, a day after Malik Willis, which kind of went under the radar because of how good Willis was. But he had pretty accurate deep balls there. He had a huge arm, just like Willis. He's elusive and mobile. He's able to escape pressure. But one of his flaws on him is a very simple offense at Ole Miss, with a lot of RPOs, meaning he's kind of a one-read offense. If the read's not there, you hand it off. If it is, you throw it, which I don't know if you want to put that as a knock on him. It's the same kind of offense Justin Herbert ran. He's too conservative sometimes, meaning if you're late in the game, they're down by a couple points, he's a little too conservative. He doesn't take those deep shots that are there for him. He checks down or he scrambles. And he has kind of a slender frame, and he takes too many hits when he's scrambling. My pro comp for him is Zach Wilson.
Yeah. I think I like Matt Corral too. I think in the NFL, I think I agree with what you said, that he had a lot of simple, I mean, not a lot, but a simple offense in Ole Miss where it was built for him to have success. I think in the NFL, it's obviously gonna be built for him to have success too, but it's gonna be more him making decisions and not like knowing what he's gonna do before.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I think I got Kenny Pickett here. He had 42 touchdowns this year, third in Heisman voting. He had 233 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. I think he's a do-it-all quarterback. He's athletic. He's smart. He only had 7 interceptions this year, and he had 4,300 passing yards. So I think he's a big play quarterback that can change the team right away. So I got Kenny Pickett here.
Yeah, that's a good one. My QB3 though is Sam Howell. Sam Howell is a bit of an interesting quarterback prospect to watch. He had a 3-year career at UNC where he started since his freshman year, and he's had ups and downs. This past year was definitely his worst year at UNC, and it wasn't even a bad year on any means. He's got a big arm. I think I've said this for the last 2 quarterbacks, but he's got a big arm. The ball has a lot of zip on it. He's able to fit the ball between tight holes in the defense. When there's a linebacker and there's a safety, he's able to zip it right in there. It's exactly what you want to see in a quarterback. Some of the negatives though, he's got a poor frame. He's kind of short and compact a little bit, which kind of hurts when he's trying to stay in the pocket and the pocket's collapsing. He likes to go outside the pocket. He's definitely inconsistent though. Like I said earlier, his worst year was last year. If it wasn't for this year, he would have been a top quarterback in the draft coming out last year. He's a little undisciplined at times. When he starts to do good, he gets a little riled up, and I think he just needs to calm down a little bit. My pro comparison for him is Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said about Sam Howell, but I've got Desmond Ritter here, number 3. Just like you said about Sam Howell, he's kind of short, and it hurts him in the pocket. Desmond's 6'4", 215. He's got a good frame. He had 30 touchdowns last year, 8 interceptions, and 350 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. And he played on the Cincinnati team that went to the playoffs. I know the knock on Cincinnati is that they don't play anybody good or whatever, but they went to the playoffs. So a lot of NFL or a lot of these quarterbacks can't say that. So he's a winner, and I think he knows what it takes to win. And so yeah, that's what I got on Desmond Ritter. I think he's QB3 for this draft.
Yeah. So next up, I got my QB4 as Kenny Pickett. You heard Adyn list a lot of his pros earlier as a QB2, and he absolutely nailed all of them. But I'm going to touch on some of the cons that I see with him. The biggest one for him is he has insanely small hands. I mean, he's one of the only quarterbacks to go to the combine and be in the conversation to be in the top of the quarterback categories with this small of hands. He has to wear 2 gloves to even grip the ball and throw it, which is kind of a question mark for me, which can eventually lead to fumbles in the NFL and maybe some inaccuracy problems. But I don't think that's big enough to knock him off like top 5 quarterbacks. He's still here at 4. He had a tremendous year at Pitt. You can't take that away from him. He was very good at the Senior Bowl. He's one of the top guys I've seen at the Senior Bowl. He won Senior Bowl game MVP. So that's definitely something to work with there. I think he's a little too average in too many places. I mean, I think in the NFL he'll lead to a guy that's I don't think necessarily will step up and win you games, but I don't think he's going to be the guy to lose you games. For that, I think he can be a Jared Goff type, but if the small hands become a problem and he doesn't develop, I could see him more as like a Tim Boyle backup in the league.
That's a harsh rating on Kenny Pickett, but I agree with what you said about his cons. He does have small hands, but I think that his athleticism and like his stats speak for themselves. He proved that he got it done this year at Pitt, so I think that will translate to the NFL. But number 4 here, I got Matt Corral. I think everything you said about him, you nailed it. But I agree with what you said though, that he was in a simple offense. I mean, I talked about him a little bit earlier, where he was built to have success. Where I think that in the NFL, it's more about the quarterback making decisions and making the right reads. So I think that'll be interesting to see. But I got number 4, Matt Corral.
Yeah, my QB5 is Desmond Ritter. Adyn touched on him earlier. Cincinnati gets disrespected a little bit, and they went out and showed everybody that they can compete with the top dogs. And that team was led by Desmond Ritter. He's great at throwing on the run. He's able to escape pressure and really throw it on the run, which helped Cincinnati succeed. Sometimes he's poised in the pocket. He's got a good pocket presence. He knows when the pocket's collapsing, which gets him out throwing on the run. He had a great combine. He ran a 4.5 40 for a quarterback. That's super good. And a great Senior Bowl. He kind of struggled during practice, and then in the Senior Bowl game, he showed us what he could do. Some of the cons I got with him is he struggled against Alabama big time. He looked lost out there. He was missing wide open guys over and over again, and that's definitely a bad sign to see when you play a bunch of NFL talent. You're going to be playing guys way better than Alabama's defense in the NFL. And he's not the most accurate quarterback. You see him miss a lot of wide open throws. That can definitely change the NFL if he goes to a good quarterback coach. But I just think that's one of the big knocks on him. And he also has average arm strength. My comp for him is a poor man's Dak Prescott, because I think he's more of a less accurate, less stronger arm Dak Prescott. But he definitely makes good. He can definitely see the field like Dak Prescott. He's got similar body build. So that's my evaluation on him.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about him earlier, so I agree with that. So I actually just switched just now my 5 and 6. I had top 10 here, but I've got Carson Strong from Nevada. He's 6'4", 215, and he's a big guy. He actually had negative 208 rushing yards this year. So I think that some people think that he's not athletic or he's not mobile or whatever, but I think he has some sneaky athleticism. He had 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and 4,000 passing yards. So I think that he's proven. He's 22 already, so I think he can step in and help any team he gets drafted to. So I got Carson Strong as number 5.
Yeah, Carson Strong was definitely a guy I was considering putting above Ritter. He's got a huge arm. I definitely like him a lot. I'm actually hoping that he might fall in the 3rd round. Maybe my Lions could pick him up. We'll see though. See how it plays out. But moving on to the running backs here, that was me and Aiden's top 5 quarterbacks. Going on to my number 1 running back, I have Breece Hall. Hold on, I'm gonna move our thing down here. All right, my number 1 running back in the draft is Breece Hall. Breece Hall was a stud in this year and last year at Iowa State. You can see the stats speak for themselves. He's got ideal size for a running back, 5'11", 220 is great. He's a touchdown monster. He put up 20 touchdowns in each of his last 2 years. He's a workhorse back. He can be the guy who's going to get 30 carries a game in the NFL. And he had an amazing combine. He ran a 4.39 40 time. For that size and that big of a power back is absolutely crazy. So one of my knocks on him, it's only one. I'm definitely high on Breece Hall. Is he sometimes doesn't use that speed to his advantage. He'll look to run over you and get tackled because of that, or he'll look to kind of run through traffic when he can bounce on the outside. That's only one of the negatives that popped up on his film. And my pro comparison for him is a Kareem Hunt type player.
Yeah, I like what you said about Breece Hall, but I got Kenneth Walker here from State. He's 5'9", 211, so he's a little bit smaller than Breece Hall, but I think that helps to his speed. He tied for third fastest 40-yard dash at the combine with 4.38. Um, I think that he transferred from Wake Forest. He broke out this year. He won one Best Running Back award and Player of the Year award. He's powerful running back. He has that whole package where he's fast, powerful, can break tackles, can make guys miss. So I think he's that full package that can come in and really carry an offense if he needs to.
Yeah. My RB2, you just touched on it, was Kenneth Walker. I mean, just look at his stats. 1,600 yards is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he carried that Michigan State team. He absolutely carried them. And he's extremely smooth and shifty runner. He's very fluid, very natural in the run game. He always finds the open holes in the field. I mean, there's one play against Michigan. You know, obviously, I'm not the biggest kind of Walker fan, but I can definitely recognize his talent, where he ran to the left side, and then there's just a bunch of Michigan linebackers and defensive linemen ready to tackle him, and he reversed it all the way across the field and ran all the way back and scored a touchdown. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. You don't see that in every running back. He's great burst. I mean, I had to put some negatives on here. I can't see a lot of negatives. He could work on pass protecting a little bit more. And he's caught lacking, being indecisive. Sometimes he sees a hole but cuts another direction, tries to create too much for himself. My pro comp is DeAndre Swift minus receiving skills. That's not a knock on him at all. I can see Kenneth Walker as a DeAndre Swift coming out of college, and he doesn't have quite the receiving skills, but DeAndre Swift was still a great runner coming out of college. And I think their run styles are similar. I think Kenneth Walker maybe could be better than Swift in the league, but I think their run style is similar. So that's my evaluation on Walker.
Breece Hall. I think these guys are interchangeable. You can't go wrong with either guy. They're both studs. The past 2 years, Breece Hall, he had 3,000 rushing yards, 41 touchdowns, and 59 receptions for 482 yards. So just like you said, he's a workhorse guy that can be a 3-down back, and he's good receiving, good running. He's powerful. So I think that he's the whole package, just like you said.
Yeah, my RB3 I got is Isaiah Spiller from Texas A&M. Spiller's just like your prototypical running back. He's a slippery runner. He's kind of hard to tackle. I see him breaking a lot of tackles at A&M. He's good at always finding a hole. He's a guy who he sees the hole, he's going to cut up with a burst and create plays from there. He can kick into the second gear once free, meaning once he gets past that line of linebackers and has that safety to beat, he can kick into the extra speed and get around him for the long play. He had a poor combine. He didn't participate in a lot of drills, only some of them, and even those drills weren't that good. His pro day wasn't the best either. He's had a bad offseason, which you hate to see, because some guys had him as their RB1 before this. He doesn't play to his best every play. There's just the two negatives I had on him. My pro comp for him is Sony Michel.
Yeah, I agree with that with Isaiah Spiller. But for number 3, I got James Cook. Obviously, everybody knows his brother, Dalvin Cook. I think that he gets some criticism getting compared to Dalvin, but they're different runners. I think that James Cook, he's a really good receiving back. He creates mismatches for linebackers. He lacks the ideal frame and strength to play running back in the NFL as a prototypical running back, but I think that playing on that Georgia team, he's a winner, and he knows what it takes to win, and he's a guy that can do it all pretty much. So I think that a team that drafts him is drafting a winning player. So I got James Cook at number 3.
Yeah, that's a good one. I was struggling. I don't know where to fit him in my top 5, but you'll see him in a little bit. My RB4 is Damien Pierce. Damien Pierce is a sleeper for me. Most guys don't have him near the top of the board. I can definitely see why they wouldn't. He doesn't have a great sample size. You can see he only has 574 rushing yards, but he has 13 touchdowns. That's a bunch for his lack of carries. And he was all right in this receiving game. His big back, he's a tough runner. He doesn't go down on first contact. He's always looking to get to the next level. He averaged a touchdown every 7 attempts in college, which is just a stat you don't see regularly. He had an amazing Senior Bowl. He's probably the best back in the Senior Bowl, in my opinion. He has lots of tread left. He only carried around 300 attempts in college, which is crazy. But the knocks on him are he's never been that guy in college. I mean, he probably won't be that guy in the NFL. He'll be more of a compliment back. He'll be more of a power back. He's got average speed. He ran a 4.6 at the combine, which isn't terrible for his size, but you'd like to see a little bit faster. But my pro comp for him is Ramondre Stevenson for the New England Patriots. I see a lot of similarities in their game, and I'm excited to see what Pierce can do in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't have Pierce in my top 5, but I agree with everything you said about him. Number 4, I got Isaiah Spiller. I won't say too much about him because you just talked about him for a while, but just like you said, he's not as elusive or fast as some of these top guys like Kenneth Walker, but he's one of the youngest guys in the draft, so I think that gives him room to develop and improve. But yeah, I won't go too in depth. You just talked about it, but number 4, I got Isaiah Spiller.
Yeah, my RB5 is James Cook. Adyn just touched on him. I think you nailed everything you said about him. He's a scat back. He's never going to be like your number 1 running back in the NFL, but I think he'd be very valuable in the receiving game and even on these quick pitches or out routes for running back. She's just around 300 career touches, meaning the best is yet to come for him. And you touched on the slender frame, but my pro comp for him is James White. I think he can offer a ton in the offense, just like James White did for the Patriots. And I'm excited to see what team lands Cook.
Yeah, I like that comparison, James White. That's a really good comparison. My number 5, I got Karen Williams from Notre Dame. I think he gets knocked for his size. He's only 5'9" and only 194, but he's not the biggest either, or fat. I mean, not the fastest either, but he's a patient runner and reminds me a lot of Le'Veon Bell in that way. He's patient to wait for the gaps and the holes. And he rushed for 1,000+ yards in back-to-back seasons. So he's proven, and he's also a good pass protecting running back, given his size. And he's an outstanding route runner with good hands. He had 77 catches over the past 2 seasons. So number 5, I got Karen Williams.
That's a good one. I was contemplating whether to put Cook up to 4 and him to 5. So I'm glad you're able to touch on him. But that wraps up our video for the day. That was our top 5 quarterbacks, top 5 running backs. You got a little NFL talk at the beginning, but we are going to make a series out of this. Next episode for this version will be our top 5 wide receivers and tight ends. You'll then see our top 5 O linemen and D linemen, and then you'll see our top 5 edges and linebackers, and then corners and safeties. So this will kind of be a thing leading up to the draft. We'll try and make a couple more mock drafts for the draft. We'll see some Michigan football talk coming up. And yeah, so we also want to touch on something. We are the only Lunch Table Sports YouTube channel. There's been a couple copycats out there. So yeah, we are only one channel. We are only one brand. So this is the main Lunch Table Sports. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Hold on.
Okay. I'll let you.
I got one thing. We need the March Madness prediction. Who's winning it all?
Yeah. So I'm not sure when you guys will be seeing this. The Final Four is tonight, the day of recording it. So you guys already know our predictions, but I got Kansas Duke in the finals, and I got the Kansas Jayhawks winning it all.
Duke, baby. Coach K.
Coach K.
I got Duke.
Going out on top. See you in the next episode.